Your expected approach time 3-4, approach button 17, the altimeter 2997.
Well, welcome back to the DCS Situation Report, everybody. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and as always, I do hope this video finds you well. You can probably hear a little bit in my voice. I'm still recovering from the COVID. Yesterday, I went back to work briefly, was promptly told that I look awful and should probably just go home and not do anything strenuous, which I didn't, and elected to go home about halfway through my shift, and being Friday, still not being 100%, definitely very foggy and weak. I thought it was probably just pertinent to stay home today and let the weekend roll in so that I can recover.
It's supposed to flight level 220 to 2301. Whatever copies will maintain 200.
Let's take a look at this week's newsletter from Eagle Dynamics on that note, which is a little, well, less exciting than it has been over the last few weeks because we've been getting kind of used to almost weekly releases of new material in terms of modules, maps, and other things. So almost a slow news week this week from Eagle Dynamics. A short update today, a little patch fixing a couple of things, starting with network protocol versions have been changed. They also fixed an AIM-54 looping issue after launch, and also the AIM-120, which performs an extreme pull-up if there is no target in the FOV. They have fixed the operator site, which was duplicated on the Mark on Pilot's ASP site desync and jitter fix for the multi-crew with the Hind, and player can't give or take control to or from Petrovich AO while being in the front cockpit and multiplayer. That has been corrected. Remember, that was one of the things that they had implemented, was being able to swap seats in the multiplayer, which was previously unavailable, both that and the Apache. Now, speaking of the Apache, somebody brought to my attention that it appeared the flight model was broken. I don't know if this is related to it, but anyway, this is a flight model fix, and that was the modeling of the tail rotor, giving a partial vortex ring effect. It was appearing in the hovering lateral bank movement to the left. When a certain speed was reached, there was a sudden yaw push to the right. Now the SAS heading hold mode is able to compensate for this. So interesting little fix there. Hadn't noticed that myself. Took the Apache out for a little twirl the other day just to see how it was going, and it's been a long time since I've been in the bird. Feels good to me, so let me know what you think. A little fix for the Huey, modified the seat change code to comply with new core logic, and there's been some updates to a couple of campaigns, including the F-14B Operations Sandworm campaign by Sandman Simulations, and the Eagle 86 AV-8B Skywarrior campaign. So they've added some general briefing PDFs to that particular campaign. And the other one I mentioned had a major overhaul for better performance optimization, which is good. And Bullseye is marked as a fixed point. And Mission 1, Uzi 2 is colliding with the AWACS on the catapult. That's been corrected. And there was too much crosswind on Missions 2 and 4. All right, so that was the patch notes for this week. Like I said, just a small patch notes. Going back to the newsletter itself, we have, remember, just a few days left for the summer or end of summer sale, flash sale. So October 2nd is when that finishes. So don't forget to pick up some good sales, including 30% off the A10C2 tank killer, the F-18 Hornet, and the Viper, and up to 50% on almost everything else. And again, the flash sale is available in the eShop and on Steam. Now, as part of an interesting update to one of those new modules that we mentioned earlier this year, that is the map, at least the Sinai map. The producer on Retech continuing work on this magical looking map. It's going to include the addition here of urban areas, facilities, and airfields. They are improving the quality of the terrain surface, and they have implemented procedural textual technology improved color balance, and improved the visibility of details at high altitudes, which is pretty cool. The next step for the team will be adding a vegetation, stones, trees, and phone and power poles. There will be additional details, including objects along roads, rail lines, and rivers, so stay tuned for that. A couple of screenshots here, which I'll let you enjoy, and let me know what you think of that map, which I would guess here must be fairly close to being released. Presumably there'll be a test period as well with ED to make sure that it's passing muster before it is given the approval to go ahead. So I would imagine maybe later this year or early next year in Q1 of 2023. We'll see.
And Squid Ravens in the turret. Got you visual. Holds 21.5 until we pass behind you. Squid Roger, we're 19,000 this time 10. Visual.
So ED plugged a new product by Winwing, the Orion 2, looking at around about $280 for this pretty cool looking, guess what is force sensing stick base for those of you who are fans of the F-16. This allows various combinations, I should say, of cams, springs, and dampers. The roller without neutral restore mode is a specific feature that tremendously improves operation for the most elite flight simulation aviators of you out there. This MFSSB, or moving force sensing stick base, improves operations and the feeling of flying the F-16 Viper, which is pretty cool. So it does have a limited range of motion from other clips that I've seen. So now all of you F-16 enthusiastic fans can enjoy and experience force sensing operations rather than some of the other traditional mechanisms of flying the Viper, which give a range of motion that is useful, obviously, for flying all sorts of different jets. Now, the Orion 2 is a cost-effective and innovative approach. We're looking at around about $280, so not cheap, but doesn't necessarily break the bank. If that is something that you're interested in, let me know what you think of these products. I'm actually a little bit more interested, to be perfectly frantic with you, with the pending debut of the main instrument panel, the MIP that they have here for the Hornet. So it's going to be the upfront controller, I think the central controller there, and then the two MFDs either side. If that's what I'm looking at here. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, actually, so excuse me. So it's the MIP. I'll bring a picture of this up as well here. So it's the upfront controller, the radio switches underneath that, including the baro and radar altitude switches, and then the color display, if you like, underneath the extra MFD. That is a very interesting looking piece of kit. That is something that would be very, very handy to have if you're a F-18 pilot. And speaking of that, there is Cubesim is making an independent piece as well, making the upfront controller for the Hornet as well. And I'm reliably informed by him that, or the company at least, that will be available in October. I'm not sure as a pre-purchase or as a available module yet, but anyway, that was what I was told. And I personally just picked up the total controls recently, MFDs for the Apache, which I've been able to modify for other aircraft as well quite handily. It does contain quite a few buttons, very, very useful for both the Apache, obviously, and of course those other aircraft that I mentioned. So there's a lot going on in the periphery world as well. It's a really interesting golden time to be part of flight simulation right now as the franchise or franchises grow. We're talking Microsoft Flight Simulator here, X-Plane 12, obviously DCS World with all of these extra aircraft, and the growth in the community interest in these kinds of controls to sort of set up your home cockpit or your desk cockpit. It's just a great time to be involved because there's so many choices out there right now, and some of them are relatively affordable too. So yeah, let me know what you think about some of the stuff. I'll throw some pictures up there if you haven't already seen them. And yeah, we can talk about this stuff till the cows come home. But this really brings us to the end of a short newsletter for Eagle Dynamics this week. Not a lot going on right now. Apologies, I'm a little rough today, a little tired, just not really, just not feeling it today. But I'm excited about what's going on in the franchise, of course, and all of this extra stuff that we're getting right now to enhance our favorite hobby. It's getting expensive, but it is fun. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do for this week. Let me know what you think. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, don't forget the super thanks button. Otherwise, do click the like, subscribe, and share button. Don't forget to comment in the comment section below. It helps the channel chug along. I hope this video finds you well, like I said, and we'll see you next time on the DCS Situation Report.